Okay, so the time was around 6 p.m. in Kampala, Uganda, in East Africa. And I was studying in classroom, me and my classmates in primary 6, which is equivalent to 8th grade here in America. So we were all preparing for our national exam, which was called PLE, which will possibly determine if we'll be able to go to high school and also continue to get our scholarship from a charity program. So the door rang, and me and my classmates and my 3 siblings, we started walking out of the compound. And so, to my surprise, it was my mother outside waiting for me and my 3 siblings. Well, this was an unusual visit for my mother because it was quite often for her to come and visit us. So my mom came, and then you could see her face, it was different, she was excited, she was all over the place waiting for us. And my mother told us that our visa came in to go to the United States. Well, we all jumped, hugged each other, we cried for about 10 to 20 minutes. And she told us we were leaving within 5 days. Well, for 5 days, for anybody to go to another country or go anywhere, and especially United States, that's really quite a short time. And well, we didn't really worry about those 5 days, but the thing is that we've been waiting for this visa for about 6 years as refugees. And we were refugees in Uganda, but also we also, before we moved to Uganda, we were in Rwanda, which is the neighboring country to Uganda. We were there for 2 years without going to school. So, July 28th, 2011, me and my 8 members of the family, we were resettled by the Institute of Law. We arrived in Law at night. It was really dark, and everything was quiet. I was like, well, this is not the United States that I was hoping. Well, in Africa, we watch a lot of movies, American movies, and you could see these beautiful stories, and I was like, okay, this is where I want to be one day. Also, my dad used to tell us, okay, you guys, just go to school, and one day we're gonna be in the United States where you could go to school, don't worry about anything else. So, the first thing I wanted to get on my bucket list once I go to the United States was to go to school, but also especially to make friends. As a teenager, I was 14 years old. I was just waiting to go to school so I can just make friends. Well, we were the first Congolese refugees to be resettled in Law, so we didn't have anybody who we knew from where we came from. So it was really quiet where I lived, Law, because we didn't know anybody. So we were waiting to just go to school, but the process took longer than I expected. Well, we had to get these vitamins, shorts, papers, just so much going on. I'm like, okay, this is a lot going on. But, well, my 2 sisters, my 2 older sisters, they were registered, but then for me it was back and forth because I was already 14, going to 15, so they were deciding if I should go to middle school or high school. But then I was really interested going to high school because those were the movies that I was watching back in Africa. Also, the fact that my older sisters in high school, I wanted to join them so we could just be a group. So, well, that was July, but then I was turning 15 in September. So they were like, okay, maybe let's give her a test to see if she's gonna pass. Well, I didn't speak that much English. I just knew how to read and write, but speaking, I was like, Americans they speak too fast. So, the test was just like writing. So I passed, and then they were like, okay, she can go to high school. So I went to high school, and again, I was really excited to just make friends. I went to high school, and then I was, okay, so who can I start, to just start conversation and be friends with? So I tried to my fellow Africans, because I saw people who just look like me. I'm like, okay, these people are from Africa. So I approached them, and then also the fact that being a refugee, I moved to these countries, and also I was able to learn these languages, which is 5 of them, which includes Kinyarwanda, Swahili, Luganda, French, and I could understand English, but Americans speak too fast for me. So when I approached these Africans, who some of them are just, they speak one of those languages that I spoke. So these Africans, instead of speaking to me the languages that I knew they spoke, they will speak to me in English. But then I'm like, no, why can't you speak in the language that I actually understand for now? So they were saying, oh, I don't speak that language, but my parents do. Well, I was a little disappointed, actually big disappointed. It made me miss my being a refugee back in Uganda, because the school that I went to, we were all these refugees from different countries, and we all, made friends, around the school. So, them rejecting me, not wanting to speak the language that I spoke, it made me miss them. So I was a little bit disappointed, and later on to find that they just wanted to fit within this American culture of speaking fast, just wanting to fit to speak the languages and all that. So I got disappointed, and I started going back home after school. I'm like, okay, friendship, it's not working. Also, being a teenager, you just want to find things to do, or have someone you can talk to. But also, being a refugee, every time we move to places, the first thing we do as kids, me and my siblings, we just go to the neighborhoods, talk to, even though we didn't know the languages. That's how me and my siblings, we learned all these languages. And actually, my older siblings and my mother, we were teaching them the languages we were picking up with our fellow friends. So I started going home, and after school I would go home, watch TV, do my homework, go to bed. Basically, it became a routine. So suddenly, one of my ELA teacher at Low High School, she told me, oh, Rehema, you should join track. I know one of the coach. Well, I was like, what's track? Well, that was one of my vocabulary on my list. I never had anything track and field. She told me it's running. I was like, oh, that was easy. You could have said that. Well, I was like, okay, sure. Yeah, I could try. But also in my head, I was like, okay, in Africa, we used to walk about like 3.5 miles to just go to school. We used to walk or run if we were there. Me and my siblings were like about an hour. So walking, running, it should be easy, So I remember me and my older sibling, we joined track. But then I was a little bit disappointed. After 1 week, she quit. But my focus was, okay, I need to make friends. So I didn't disappointed, and so when I joined track, again, I wanted to make friends, and I remember seeing this, again, a person who just looks like me, and I was like, okay, now this is another African, she doesn't hang around with the people that I tried first, so maybe this one should understand me. So I approached her, and then I was like, oh, what part of Africa are you from? Oh, she told me, oh, I'm African American. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know there were African American here. First of all, I never knew anything about African American. I knew America was, belonged to white people. That's what we were told in Africa. But then we didn't learn that much. We just learned about small thing about the United States. But then I was a little bit disappointed that I said, okay, this is another, African who just want to fit in, doesn't want to, showed that, she's from where I'm from. And then later on, I find that these people, they don't want to associate with the way they come from because, again, what the media shows. But I was disappointed, and I continued going to practice, and I just wanted to go there past time. I didn't want to go back home, just do chores and all that. So I remember I just go to practice, and then suddenly one day I missed practice, and then when I went back, the coach was really mad at me. I was like, she was like, Rehema, where were you? We need you. You need to come to practice. I just, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I will come next time. I will come. So I started going, and later on, she was like, no, Rehema, you're becoming good. You need to come more. You need to come more. Well, the more I started going, my mom was getting mad at me because, culturally, like females, you're not allowed to do anything like sports, physical stuff. Sports belongs to males. They don't take you serious, especially if you're a female. So I started going. I would come back home late. My mom would get mad at me. She would yell at me sometimes. And my dad would be like, oh, you're not allowed to go, you're not allowed to come at night. Because while going back to where I come from, females are not allowed to work at night, especially at 6 or 7, past 7. So I took practice serious, and later on, my coach told me that I was going to nationals for track and field. Well, I remember we went to nationals, and in 2013, our team actually became a championship for track and field. Suddenly, later on, after the coach realized I was good, she asked me, oh, Rehema, you should join cross country. I was like, what's that? Again, that was another vocabulary for me. She was like, oh, it's running long distance. I was like, well, you could have said that. You gave me all this, but I'm trying to, I understand this English language slowly by slowly. She told me, yeah, it's running long distance. But then I remember I was like, okay, so I did track. So long distance is just running for a while. Then I was like, okay, so back home we were just, we were walking for about an hour to school. So if I put into, training, I could do it. So I started cross country. That was my junior year. I fell in love with it. And I remember my younger sister was coming to high school. So I told her if she should join, and she joined. And I remember my senior year, I did cross country again. And I remember again we went to state, and my team won for the state championship. Yeah, and I remember that was my senior year. So in my senior year, my coach told us that seniors, we had to bring our parents for our last meet. Well, I didn't know how I was gonna approach my mom with this message. First of all, she never seen me running or anything. She just thought, I just told her I'm doing running, things like that, and the fact that sometimes she used to get mad at me coming late. I told her that, yeah, you need to come, they need you. This is my, they just told me they need you. And my mom respects anything about administration, things going on. So yeah, I was like, yeah, they need you. It's about colleges, I'm finishing, so you need to come. So my mom came, and that was my first time my coaches and my teammates actually will see my mom for the first time in 4 years that I've been doing sport. Well, my mom was able to notice. She came with this African outfit, bright. She's all over excited. Every time she sees person, anybody, she will go with the African handshake. Oh, how are you, sir? Things like that. So she came, and I remember we had to start running. I was so nervous because that would be my first time for my mom to see me running. So she came, and I remember I was running the varsity team. And I remember I started running, and I remember leading a 3-point mile race from start to the end. When I finished, you could see this joy in my mom's face. She was happy. She's running to me. She's hugging me. All this stuff. I'm like, She's like, you did good. You did good. But then I remember her one day actually getting mad at me. Oh, why are you coming? Why are you coming there? And in my head, I'm like, okay, this one, thank God. So I remember her coming, and then later on, we were invited that I got scholarship for what I was doing in high school, and that was the senior night. So we went back home, and later on, I got scholarship for running in high school. Then I went to college, and right now, actually, I go to Fitchburg State University, and I'm a junior right now, studying international relations. And right now, I'm interning with the institute. I wanted to give back to my community, and later on in my high school, I started this movement where fellow refugees were helping actually those who just came in, and we were helping like young teenagers to just integrate with the culture, help them like get jobs if you had something, help somebody who can speak it. It was quite successful, and right now I'm able to actually make connections with friends without, any fear or anything. So thank you so much.